Awesome. Okay, so good morning. Hello. Hi. And thank you guys for your patience with the internet connections. Okay. So again, I just want to welcome you and thank you for your time in attending the first session of the Advisor Series story with you all. And I hope that there's something useful and inspiring for you to take away from this session, this talk. Awesome. Okay, so I will talk briefly about my EMC squared experience, or previously known as MAX. And then I will talk about my story with my education as well as my career. It's not as comfortable to talk about hardships, but I definitely want to share with you two events in my life that in terms of hardships that I do not regret. And it definitely helps me grow as a person. And then I want to bestow upon you some advice, some wisdom in terms of being a student. And then just briefly talk about and make sure that I commit to it after. So in terms of my EMC squared experience, referred to as MAX, Math and Computer Science, if you guys attended Randy and Jose's alumni series talks last semester, they shared about how they created MAX and got that going, that eventually it became EMC squared, I believe in 2014 or 2015. But while I was an undergrad, it was referred to as MAX. Interesting fact, it was not part of MAX at all. By the time I got to college, I was burnt out in terms of student organizations and student clubs. It's kind of tired. And so I made the personal choice not to join any clubs during my undergraduate year. For one other person was not. And so they didn't want us to feel left out. And so they offered us for that opportunity. Also for the class, Mr. Jerwin Pineda, he's on the way right end of that MAX photo. And then we did a funny thing where we put "We Heart Math" as a proof on our caps, just to be cute and funny. Yes. And then as JC mentioned earlier, this is my first academic year serving as the EMC squared advisor. And again, I'd like to just point out that you guys are an amazing bunch of people, very unique. You guys make being an advisor so easy. I regret not being an advisor sooner. So thank you guys again for giving me this opportunity to be your advisor. I look forward to continuing this on, or continuing if you let me. Yeah, okay. And then, so let's talk about my education and then eventually my career. So interesting fact about myself, I did not speak until I was 5. At least that's what my mom and dad says. I would point at things if I wanted something. I would make grunting sounds if I didn't like something or if I wanted something different. And so of course that's not normal in terms of child development. And so my parents decided to enroll me in like a daycare / preschool program via Guam Community College. I don't know if it was specifically aimed for students with speech abilities or disabilities or whatnot. But that's basically the gist of why I went. I think it's about 1 or 2 years there. And that's my photo on the left of me graduating from the program. And then I continued like up until 1st or 2nd grade attending speech therapy classes. The funny thing is I didn't speak until, I was like 5 or 6. But then it became a teasing thing that my family would say, you never spoke growing up, but then now you cannot shut up. I found that funny growing up. Molesso, and I am a product of public school. So I went to Marito Martyrs Elementary, went to Inarahan Middle, and then I graduated from Southern High School. As JC mentioned earlier, I got my undergraduate degree in mathematics, and then I got my Master of Arts in teaching, both from the University of Guam. In terms of, I didn't know how far back would be appropriate to talk about or my experience, but at least in terms of high school, definitely propelled me, and at the undergraduate level was merit scholarship, as well as participating in the high school NIH, National Institutes of Health, NIDDK Step Up Research Summer Program. Those two, I believe, gave me future opportunities while as an undergrad. So in terms of the merit scholarship, as many of you might be familiar with, I just needed to be the top of my class, in the top of my class to receive it. So that was a goal I made entering my freshman year of high school. And then I got very, very lucky that the class, the year I graduated from high school, they also awarded not only the undergraduate merit scholarship, but they also gave the opportunity to pursue and receive the graduate merit scholarship. So both my undergraduate and graduate school was paid for by the merit scholarship. I realized the regulations for the merit scholarship. So again, I was just very fortunate that year I had that opportunity. And then the NIDDK Step Up Research Program was something I did in the summer after I graduated from high school. And because of that, I was able to network with my mentor, who was Dr. Yvette Paulino, and she basically helped me get my foot in the door the fall, that my first year at UOG. So yes. Yeah, so great, Justin, that you're part of that. I assume that was the Step Up program. For those, I believe this program might still be going on. And so if you have younger siblings or cousins in the high school level, they can start applying their junior year, and they can do it their junior summer, and I believe their high school summer. And so, definitely share that with them if they're interested in researching in, the medicine or health fields. I might talk about this a little bit more as I progress through. Okay, awesome, good to see here. Okay, so let me see, because I have my chat open. Okay, there. Okay, so in terms of my career story, I've served as a research assistant, a teaching assistant, an adjunct instructor, and then currently I'm an instructor and an academic advisor. So in terms of being a research assistant, this is where me being part of that NIDDK Step Up program opened the doors for me. So that summer, again, I was paired with Dr. Yvette Paulino as my mentor. Some of you might know her from the Build Exito. She was previously under CNAS, but then changed to School of Health, where she focuses more on public health and a lot of the Cancer Research Center projects. And so at the time, because she was part of CNAS in 2010, 2011, and she was my former mentor, she gave me the opportunity to be her research assistant / teaching assistant. It's a weird position. 2011 to 2015, 2016, I was basically her research assistant for 2 different pilot projects where she focused a lot about the areca betel nut and its effects on, your body and health and your oral microbiome and whatnot. So I owe a lot to Dr. Paulino for giving me those opportunities, as well as, again, opening the doors for me. So because she was part of CNAS and I was able to be her research assistant, it made a smooth transition for me to be a teaching assistant under math and computer science. And so after I took Calculus 1 with Dr. Nagahashi, my first year, I was able to be his TA for Calculus 2, Calculus 3, and then I was able to differentials. I think it was a TA for differentials. And then I was able to also be a TA for other courses, like I believe linear algebra with Dr. Takanuchi and whatnot. But the biggest TA position was, of course, for the 085 back in the day when it was self-paced. That was a lot of tutoring and managing a class where, students went on a case-by-case basis in terms of their progress because it was self-paced, but definitely a nice learning experience. In addition, as a teaching assistant, Dr. Nagahashi, in that bottom right photo, that's myself, Dr. Nagahashi, and David Gogui, he's, I believe, still at the computer center. We spent an intercession working on converting the 085 paper test. Man, we were pretty ancient back in the day where the chapter tests for 085 were a set of 5, A, B, C, D, E, and students will take each test until they pass with a passing grade. They could take all 5 and basically restart the process. So it wasn't the best in terms of preventing cheating. So we wanted to convert that to an electronic form where we can instantly change the numbers every time we generate it. So I worked with David Gobi and another undergraduate, Akashi Rouse, one intercession to do that. And then thankfully, after we graduated in spring 2014, they transitioned the 085. They transitioned the 085 from self-paced individuals to teach the course to the whole class. So that way everyone would be on the same page throughout the semester. Because this was a huge transition, that fall 2014, some of you might remember, some might not, but we had 24 different sections for 085. We had 12 sections for 085A and 12 sections for 085B that basically ran from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. twice a week. Yeah, and so imagine needing to find 24 individuals, on the hour, right? 24 individuals or maybe 12 individuals to teach, 1 or 2 classes from that list of sections. And so I was very lucky to graduate when I did graduate, as well as my peers, because a lot of us got to jump on that wagon to be an adjunct faculty to teach 1 or 2 of those courses. So that's how I transitioned from undergrad to being an adjunct instructor. Yes. Let's see what else. I might need to backtrack a little in terms of my education. Do I want to backtrack? Let's see. Yeah, so Yoji finished with my math degree. Oh, okay, I guess I can talk about my graduate degree. So again, because the merit scholarship allowed the opportunity to pay for my graduate level school, I knew that once I graduated in spring 2014, that I needed to continue with a graduate degree that fall 2014. At this point, I wanted to be a teacher in math. I love math, and I do believe I have a knack at teaching math, especially the lower level courses where students need a lot of review of the fundamentals. So yes, and I love how a lot of you in EMC Squared are double majors or, secondary education math specialty. So kudos to you guys. I decided to pursue the Master of Arts in Teaching, which shout out to Cabrini's mom, Dr. Alicia Uggan, because backtracking, my first year at UOG, my freshman year, I approached her for advisement, and I asked her if I could double major in math and secondary education. If it takes me one extra semester to graduate in 4.5 years, that's totally fine. But when I did share with her that my master's degree would be paid for, she shared with me insights that just focus on math as your bachelor's degree, and then you can pursue the Master of Arts in Teaching. And so that freshman year, I knew, yes, I knew what I wanted to do after I graduated in 2014. So thank you again, Dr. Alicia, again, for that insight. Yeah, and so it took me 2.5 years to finish my master's in teaching. And then I'll explain why it took me one extra semester during my hardships. But yeah, so basically transitioned into that. Again, I wanted to do teaching because I felt very fortunate to have really, really great math teachers from middle school to high school. And it was just one way to give back from what I was able to experience. Yes. Okay, so let's see. Okay, I think that's it. And so after I finished, how did I transition from adjunct to instructor / academic advisor? So one, my dad shared with me when, you know, I told him that I was going to teach 085, 085B. His one advice was, Katrina, don't stop. As long as they'll take you every semester, at least teach one course every semester as being part of that adjunct pool. And so sometimes master's program while teaching 1 or 2 of the 085 courses, but he said, don't give it up, like be consistent with it and do a good job. That paid off in the long run, because when I did graduate in December 2016 from my master's degree, by January 2017, this academic advisor position opened up. There was a lot of details of the position, like it was technically a math faculty position, but majority of my time would be for advising the whole college. And so it just worked out really nicely that I was a math graduate. I had just finished my master's in teaching, and I was free. I was ready to go. And so by spring 2017, I applied for the position, basically got it by May or June. And then I started training in July 2017. And then I officially started as an instructor, also academic advisor, by fall 2017. So this spring will wrap up my 5th year. Can't believe I'm saying that. My 5th year as an academic advisor. Yes. And then in terms of, so I've always taught like 085A and B throughout the year since 2014, TA'd for it prior to that. But I believe it was, I think 2017 was when we piloted the 089 version of the fundamentals course. And then by 2018, I basically inherited the course, and I have taught it every semester since 2018. For those who might not know, the 089 is the combination of 085A and B in one semester. So it's basically like it's a 5-credit course, and we meet 4 days a week for the entire semester. One of the beautiful things that I try in that course is to make sure students are most comfortable with learning. How do we say this? I want them to be comfortable in the class, be comfortable with me as their teacher, because with that openness and that open communication and that willingness to learn, then I believe I can bridge a lot of the shortfalls or weaknesses that they experience or fear of math. So that way they feel more confident in themselves. So that's definitely my goal every semester, is just to make them not hate math or make them not fear math. Because being at the fundamental levels, they have maybe 1 or 2 more semesters of math courses, and I don't want them to be discouraged that first semester. Yeah. So let's see. Maybe I'll come back to talking more about the academic advisor position in terms of my responsibilities, but let's go ahead and talk about hardships because that relates to my undergraduate and graduate experience. So I have 2 slides here for both of the hardships I want to talk about. The first one was my full-on undergraduate summer research experience. So my junior summer, Hilo was reaching out to students from UOG to apply and participate in their pure math summer program. I believe it was in conjunction with Sam Houston University in Texas, because at that university, some of you might have met her, Dr. Rebecca Garcia. She was born and raised on Guam, but then has since relocated to the States. So she had ties with Guam as well. And so I had just taken MA 302, Foundations in Higher Math, and if majority of you have taken that course, you can all relate at how difficult and different, awesome to hear, and difficult and different MA 302 is. So, but it's kind of too late to, yeah. It's kind of too late to change your mind about your major unless you want to spend another 2 or 3 years. Because at that point, again, you're a junior, you're an ending junior, and you just have 1 more year to finish in the math. So you just got to persevere at that point. But that semester, they recruited us. Several of us applied. 3 of us got in. And so in the bottom right corner, that's Reina Shintaku, myself, kind of maybe I look different, and then a Kat Yanit. So the 3 of us participated. I was part of their residence program, and then the other 2 were part of their interns program. Part of me wishes I did the interns program instead of the resident version, because of course there was like a difference in course level knowledge and all of that, which brings me to that being one of the biggest hardships I experienced. Even though I did do that high school step up program, this was a whole nother level because it was located in Hilo, which is a beautiful island. It's like Guam times like 10 in terms of size, but the environment is the same, the people are the same. So there was a lot of similarity there, but it was located in Hilo. And then of course it was like talking about higher level math, which means like proving an abstract algebra, which I had not taken yet. And then because I applied for the residency program, that was a 10-week version. So from June to August. And that first week of the program, they were basically giving us, they were basically giving us a crash course in a variety of math courses to help prepare us for the research projects that they were going to present to us for us to choose from. I cried literally every day that I was there that first week. I kept contemplating about whether or not I was ready for this. If, like, it was, you come from UOG, which is a small school, which is really nice because you get to talk with your classmates because your class sizes are very small. You get to have conversations with your faculty because your class sizes are small. But, you tend to get comfortable with that level of standard, that level of excellence. And so much more that's out there. And so by the time I got to Hilo and was part of that program, I felt so stupid. Like, that's the honest truth. I felt so stupid. I felt inadequate. I hated it. And so thankfully there was FaceTime. So I was like FaceTiming with my family every day, but I was also crying every day. I really hated it. To the point where I think it was Thursday or Friday, I decided I was going to talk to the directors, which was Dr. Garcia. You can see her on the bottom left photo. And then Dr. Bob Pelayo. He's on the top right photo. The 2 were the main directors for the program. I went to them, I think during lunchtime, and I bawled my eyes out. I cried. I said, please send me home. I will owe you all the money that I made you spend on me to get me here. I just want to go home. And after crying for maybe 10 or 15 minutes in front of them, I'm not ashamed, They shared with me their own experiences, gave me some quick insight about, just trying not to be discouraged and to persevere. And I don't know if maybe it was a combination of their talking to me or just me being able to cry and let my emotions out. But after that, it was okay. So I was able to get with 2 other students to focus on our research project. So I guess I can annotate really quick. So this was my group for that summer, and we worked on block monoids. Ask me today, I don't know what it was. That was what, 7, 8, 9 years ago, almost 9 years ago. But we looked at block monoids. We looked at certain numbers in terms of block monoids that somehow related to the number of nuggets that used to be sold at McDonald's. I believe the numbers were 369, something like that. So our project was actually dubbed Chicken McNugget Monoids, something like that. But we were able to finish our project and our standards for that summer, thankfully, and then whatnot. But that was just an eye-opening because it was my first time doing difficult math, first time away from my family. I didn't feel good enough to be there. And so it was just like a learning experience. And I'm grateful for everything. And I'm most grateful that I had that opportunity to go through. Sometimes when life is too easy, that's a bad thing. You need to be able to cry at some parts during your life and feel the struggle. I put it in a transparent thing, but like that was something I took a photo of that I found in my photo archives. I have no idea what that means behind the hardships. A lot of like under limits, SUPs. I don't know anymore. Yeah. Yes, cry at least once a year. Okay, so then my second hardship, which came in 2015, was during my master's program. Let's see. So again, I did the Master of Arts in Teaching with no experience in the classroom. My dad kind of teased me that, why did you do this if you didn't even know what you're getting into? But I was like, Dad, I had to because they were going to pay for my graduate school. So I just went in head first. So I spent I spent a fall semester, spring semester, and a summer just taking master's courses. But then by that fall, we needed to be in the classroom for our internship, which is basically the student teaching component. And then we would finish up another set of courses in spring, and then we would graduate. But again, I was never in my own classroom at the secondary level. And so I was really scared about being in my own classroom that fall semester. A lot of my cohort classmates were actually teaching since the beginning of our program. But I decided I didn't have the mental capacity to teach middle school, high school while starting and navigating a master's program. So I chose not to teach until I was forced to teach for the program. Anyways, I asked if I could do student teaching. They said, no, it's better that you apply and be a teacher 3 or teacher 2 so that you can get paid while doing your internship. In hindsight, I really wish I stood my ground in asking to teaching. But again, you live and you learn. And so 2015, I was a teacher at Innerhan Middle School. And by October, I resigned. Most of you can relate to this, especially because of COVID, but honestly, your mental state, your emotional state, sometimes so funny because this conversation of my students, my teaching will come up every now and then with my family, and I get emotional at the thought of it because it was really something, it was hard to go through, but I tried my best that fall semester to stay being a teacher at IMS. My students, when I told them that I was resigning, they were trying to make it up for me and encourage me to stay, but my mental state at that point was gone. Like I was depressed and I hated going to school every day. Classroom management is a big factor of your ability to, manage your course. I thought me just knowing math and being able to use strategies and methods to teach math would be enough. But, you know, middle school students, they're in a very, very trying and difficult and confusing time in their life. And being able to manage their behaviors and emotional state is a big thing. But yeah, so that was a big hardship. It took me maybe like a month of really thinking about it, but I did make the decision to resign, which meant I had to withdraw from my master's program for that semester. I had to owe back merit for that semester because, you know, I withdrew from my classes. But that time off really allowed me to reset myself in terms of, you know, what do I want? What do I, you know, where do I want to see myself and come back? So from October to January, I took that break, that mental break, reset myself, recharged. And then by January 2016, with accommodations, they allowed me to go back and do student teaching with a master teacher. So very, very fortunate for SOE for giving me that opportunity to still continue the program, but definitely to still continue the learning process of being becoming a teacher. Yeah, so I got emotional just a moment ago, but definitely those two experiences or some hardships that I went through. And, you know, it's okay to take a break sometimes. It's okay to withdraw. You definitely want to have that conversation with yourself to make sure that you do what's best for yourself. Yeah. Thank you guys. You guys are so encouraging. Really the best bunch of students. But yeah, so those are my hardships I wanted to share with you. So let's see what's next. What did I put next? Oh, okay. So advice for students. So these are just some advice in terms of me as a student, again, at the undergraduate and graduate level. First thing is manage time. You guys probably hear this a lot since your FY 101 course. But what I found was that so if I have really big assignments or an essay or a project due, I will block off a portion of my day to focus just on that. But that's what I found, is to set aside maybe 2 to 4 hours if I have a big project or something I'm studying for. I found that works best for me. Another thing is to strengthen your weaknesses. It's really hard to confront your weaknesses. One of the reasons why I chose to be a math major was because I hate writing. I hate writing. It's such a difficult task for me just to start. But I was very fortunate that one of my older sisters was a communications major, English minor, and she was literally my go-to to proofread my essays, to make edits to all my major essays, writing assignments since my freshman year, all the way to my last semester as a graduate student. So, you know, just acknowledging your weaknesses is a good way to start with, you know, strengthening them. Another big thing, so I didn't join like MACs or student clubs. So in terms of getting together with my classmates and studying, you definitely want to be honest with yourself in terms of what's the best method for studying. You guys are a very unique bunch in terms of like the online learning and the online environment. But, you know, as we transition back to face-to-face courses or being on campus, yes, siesta. I love going to siesta too. And I was like, oh man, I hope my students aren't there because they're going to see their instructor studying or grading papers. But yeah, I love siestas vibes. But so like for myself, I'm the worst at group studying because I just love to talk and I love to go on tangents and just waste time. So I found that it's better for me to study alone because I'm not distracting someone else and I'm definitely not, you know, I'm not distracting myself, but definitely do what works for you. Sometimes your home environment might not be the most convenient for studying because if you're home, your parents might ask you to go bush cut the lawn or take out the trash or watch your sister or brother. As much as you do want to still participate, you know, like engage with your family, sometimes you need that 1 or 2 hours to study. So, does studying at home work for you? Is it better if you go to the library? Is it better if you go to siesta or infusion? Think about that and then see what works best for you. One of the biggest things to help me get tasks done, especially really big projects, are paper style to-do lists, and no task is too small to write down. Oh, that's a great suggestion, Ryan. Putting signs on your door that you're do not disturb. Thank you for that suggestion. But paper style to-do list is one of the ways for me to visually write down what I need to do, and then motivation for me to get them done. So I actually have one here. So this is my little notebook, and then I'll have just like checkbox things for to do, which was like this was the presentation. And so a small thing is just looking for a PowerPoint slide template was one of my to-dos. So that's one of the things that's worked for me that you might want to consider doing if it helps you get started with your task. Make memories. So as I was going through some of my photo archives, I saw like a ton of me and my math classmates, hanging out, going to dinner, studying, all of that. And it was just nice to be able to, recall the hangouts and the study group sessions and all of that. And so, as much as you want to focus as being a student, don't forget life still moves on, and you want to take the time to hang out with them and make memories before you move on. Because the honest, real truth, at least in my experience, is life gets real, life gets busy. And so it's very convenient to be able to hang out with your classmates and friends now while you're all going to college. But once you get into like having a job in different areas, in different offices, it's really difficult to get together and hang out as easily as it was when everyone was going to UOG. So definitely make those memories. Get sleep. Know how much you can function with as little sleep as possible. So like for myself, I realized I can only operate at maybe like as full capacity as I can if I at least get 2 hours. If there's less than 2 hours from when I'm supposed to wake up, it's kind of better for me not to go to sleep, because then I just won't wake up. Caffeine makes me jittery. So as much as I want drink caffeine to stay up, it's kind of worse because then my body starts to shake or I get really cold and all of that. So as much as possible, try to manage your time so that way you can still get enough sleep. Definitely recommend you go to sleep earlier and then wake up earlier. At least in my opinion, that's a great way to, reset your mind, reset your brain, and have a fresh start at tackling your assignment, your essay, your studying. Last thing, as a student, apply literally for anything, for everything. If you're just considering it, I recommend you apply for it because you had a small thought that, oh, maybe I might want to do this. You want to take advantage of as many internships, research opportunities, jobs while you're a student, because as a student, I think there's a lot more opportunities in that like job role because you're a student. So a lot of employers want to take advantage of having a student in their office or whatnot. I'm not sure if you guys have been seeing the UOG emails asking you to join Handshake or to sign up for the career connections. Definitely look at your emails from Miss Jackie Hanston regarding those opportunities, or follow them on Instagram. So that way you can also take advantage of internships and job opportunities that might be available for you. Yes, okay. So some tips as a student. Let's see, advice for life. Some of you guys might be Office fans. So I hope I can get some good memories here at this point. But in terms of advice for life, you miss 100% of the shots you didn't take. Wayne Gretzky, also Michael Scott. So in terms of that, I would like to note that my mom has been a big encourager for a lot of the things that I got to experience. So going back to that high school step-up program, I was in no way interested in health or medicine in terms of my career goal. But when they came to Southern High to recruit students to apply, my mom said, just apply. You may be unsure today, But if you miss that deadline, then you know your answer is a no. Like, you know that opportunity is not there for you at all. So just apply. And then if they reply to you and say, oh, you're accepted, then you can make a decision when that time comes. And so that little encouragement to just try, I try to apply that to a lot of the things I'm unsure about. So that way I could just see what opportunities are available for me. And again, that Step Up program basically helped propel me throughout my undergraduate year, because again, Dr. Paulino, I became a research assistant, became a teaching assistant, became an adjunct instructor. And so there were a lot of dominoes that fell because of that one choice and because my mom encouraged me to apply. Another funny thing, just more so life, if your wipers are on, your lights should be on. Talking about the car, wipers on, lights on. Back in spring 2018, one of the computer information systems majors during the pinning ceremony, funniest quote, in terms of computers or maybe just in life in general, did you turn it off and on again can solve a lot of your problems. Let's see. Oh, I mentioned this earlier about sharing experience in terms of like what you go through. Share that with others, especially the younger, your younger siblings, cousins, neighbors. You want to expose them as much as possible to what's available to them, so that way they can take advantage of it. You want to build each other up. I wouldn't have known about the merit scholarship. I wouldn't have made those goals for myself if I didn't have my older sisters. They exposed me to that. And so like that's, exposure is the biggest thing that I think can help build up our community and our island. And then the last advice for life I have, I recently watched Tall Girl and Tall Girl 2. And in one of the scenes, there was the main character, Jody, was having an anxiety attack. And her mom, who is also Angela from The Office, she shared with her these 3 short phrases so that she can, stop her anxiety attack. And she said, remind yourself that this is temporary, it's not forever, and this will end. Just a short and simple reminder that if you're ever going through any difficult times, hardships, just know that it's not forever. I usually have a different type of self-talk with myself when I feel really stressed out or I feel really anxious about something. I usually tell myself, eventually it'll be tomorrow. Eventually the deadline will pass, time will move on. And so you either do what you're supposed to do or you don't, but eventually time moves on. And so similar, this one is just definitely more concise. So I think I will adopt this as like my motto and my reminder that, you can always overcome your difficulties when you feel like things are getting really hard for you. So again, this is temporary, it's not forever, and this will end. Realize, okay, oh my goodness, I'm near the hour mark, which I thought I wouldn't reach. Thank you guys for bearing with my talk so far. I think I just have 2 more slides. So just some of my future goals is to continue to be the best dog mom to my Covey. I got her in 2020. She's my daughter. And yeah, I don't think I'm gonna have kids of my own, but just want to try to be the best dog mom for her. I think about the thought that dogs don't live long, and I don't want to think about that idea of eventually I might lose her one day. But anyways, until then, I want to give her the best life. And then this is a way for me to commit myself to it. Again, this is my 5th year as an academic advisor for CNAS. And I think it's time for me to grow as a person, but grow in the position. And so I'm really considering applying for the Kansas State PhD program, specifically for, academic advising. So I'm gonna manifest it during this session, and that's going to be one of my big goals for the future. Thank you guys. Nice thing about this program is it's completely online. So I'm hoping to still stay as an academic advisor on Guam. And then it just requires like once a week in the summer for me to fly back to do a program, like a session with them, and then come back. So I think it will be a very convenient PhD program to pursue. Yeah. Okay, my last one, and then if you guys have any questions, I can answer those at the end. Okay, so I hope I don't get emotional on this slide, but it wouldn't be Guam culture if I didn't do this. I want to thank my family because without their support, I wouldn't be where I am today. It's very cliche and very emotional, but without my mom and dad wanting a better life, a lot of our parents do want a better life for ourselves. Without their support, their encouragement, and without my sisters as role models, as confidants, as supporters, I really wouldn't be where I am today without them. In addition to like the countless mentors, colleagues, the faculty, my classmates, like it takes a village to raise a child, right? And so, I hope you feel as fortunate and blessed to be part of UOG, to be, living on Guam, and to have that kind of support system that I really hope I don't take advantage of and forget. So just wanted to shout out my family and thank you again for all the supports. So I think this will wrap up my presentation. I will try to go to the first slide. Let's see if I can go to the first slide. Yeah. And then if any of you have any questions, I was trying my best to look at the chat while I was talking. So again, thank you for all your comments and whatnot throughout. But yes, thank you again for giving me this opportunity to share on the first session of the advisor series.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Katrina. As Ms. Katrina mentioned, we are opening the Q&A portion for this episode. If there are no questions, I can go first. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Yes.
You mentioned that you were an educator, right? So did you have any students that were disruptive to you? And if so, how did you deal with that while you were teaching?
So I don't know if I'm the best person, but the classroom management was one of the reasons where I realized I wasn't in a good position to stay as a teacher. And that's kind of the reasons why I resigned. But it's trying to understand where they're coming from, because a lot of the behavior problems come because there's issues at home and that the students might not have had, again, the most supportive environment. Sometimes they don't even eat at home. And so, working in the public school system, especially, just understanding where the students, their home life, and being very empathetic and understanding in that area, I think will help you navigate classroom behavior, classroom management in that situation. I wanted to comment, I chose middle school because I felt like a bigger age gap between myself and them. I wanted to be able to, I am your teacher in a sense, because I didn't feel quite comfortable going to the high school level where I might just have been 4 years older than them. I was a bit uncomfortable with that idea. But then going to middle school, of course, they have that adolescent age period where, again, they're confused, they're going through puberty. So I think I would, if I ever had to go back, I'd be a little bit more open and flexible with understanding that they're in that specific period of growth. And I think also just talking with your colleagues, because most times I think in the middle school level, it's like team teachers, right? You have a set of teachers who are the English, math, science for that cohort of students. So I think being able to get advice from how they might be able to manage and help work with that student, the student who's having issues in class, might also be give some good insight.
Thank you, Ms. Katrina.
Thank you, JC. Yes.
Since there are no more questions on the chat and no one's oh, there. What do you think is the best tool used to help manage your time, from Ryan?
So for that, some version of it can go with how you choose your classes for this semester. So some students don't like those big gaps in between courses, like you might have physics at 9 a.m. and then computer science at 4 p.m. It's like, what am I going to do from 11 to 4, right? But that's the perfect time to go to the library and do all your homework or reading. So sometimes choosing your semester schedule could help you create those blocks of times so that you can, go to the library to study in between courses. But I also use Google Calendar, primarily because that's the way I book appointments with students for advisement. So I also use that to block off time in my schedule. I change the colors. So I know when it's a student appointment, when it's a personal appointment, when it's a meeting with EMC squared, like you guys are purple on my calendar. And then all my division meetings are green. My student appointments are blue. So it just helps me visualize where my time will be spent. So Google Calendar, I think, is a good way. Yeah. And then I see Maria also asked about merit. So yeah, I don't know how the rules and regulations are determined every graduation year, but it just so happened that 2010, part of the rules and regulations were that, sorry, I saw the block off sleep in my calendar. That's a good one. So the merit scholarship just determined, like, it's, I guess, depending on the Board of Regents for that year. They only covered grad school for the top 1 and 2. And so I'm going to put a plug in there. Is that the phrase? I was valedictorian for Southern High. Maria, you were valedictorian, right? From TZEN? TZEN? Yes, I don't know. Someone correct me. Oh, Sally. Yeah. So, but that's still enough, right? And so my graduating class, number 1 and 2, had the opportunity to use the graduate merit award if you wanted to. So, but I think the caveat was that our stipend was lower. So like my year, we were only getting 200 and 400 stipends, whereas other years we're getting maybe 300 and 500. So yeah, I think that's where that extra money went, was to be able to fund the graduate award. Any other questions?
I have one more question. Sorry.
Oh yeah, go ahead, JC.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
In what ways were you able to encourage students that are borderline not passing the class?
So a lot of that would be so monitoring them from the beginning and kind of gauging on your own how the grading works for that course, and knowing when is it time to like talk with them so they can correct their mistakes early on, or maybe just have that real talk of you want to consider withdrawing. And so like for my OD5, OD9 courses, sometimes it's the quizzes are in the beginning and they're not that heavy for the grading. But once they take their first exam and you see their score, then you kind of want to have that conversation with them from the beginning. So they're aware that was one thing. And I think just to try to have an open communication with them and being nice about it, like having a nice tone with them from the beginning, I think allows them to feel more comfortable to share with you anything. So like my students this semester, I kept telling them on the first day, like, email me if you're not going to be in class. Tell me what's going on with yourself so that way I can accommodate you and work with you. I don't want to see you midway through the semester and saying you had a death in the family, but it's so much time has passed. Like I could have helped you from the beginning if you had been open with me or something like that. Or maybe they have to take their kids to school, daycare, while they're also attending UOG. So definitely trying to establish that open communication and comfort, or like, like just being comfortable with you is one of, I guess, my philosophy, my education philosophy. Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Katrina. So,
Did
since
you
there
want to
are,
take a photo
yes,
or yes?
yes.
Okay. Yes.
So I will
Do
stop
you want me to stop
recording.
sharing?
Yes,
Oh yeah.
please.
Let me stop
Thank you.
sharing. Okay.
Yes, everyone can turn on their camera, please.